Hello everyone, this is part 10 of What If Naruto Got a New Teacher After Training Trip, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. He didn't like how the Akatsuki had showed up so soon to their planned day for the attack on the Sound. Not only did they come unexpectedly, they thought it over and planned on having enough members there to most likely try to crush Konoha's plans. He glanced at Sakura and Hinata and thought about how he was just stopping by on Tsunade's behalf and he was pretty lucky to have actually done the little errand. Toma's eyes shifted to Deidara and thought back to everything that Deidara had taught him about her dumb brother as he evaluated the situation. Deidara watched as he began to get his clay ready for bird bombs, hoping that the young Jinchuriki would pay no attention to what his hands were doing, but he was wrong as Toma charged at him with chakra-powered fists, landing a solid blow on Deidara's jaw, sending him stumbling back. The assault planned ahead as Sakura and Hinata landed two very powerful blows to Deidara's back, pushing him to the ground. Toma and the girls quickly surrounded him as he began to rise to his feet, but he confused Toma immensely as Deidara was smirking. Kakashi was already halfway battle with Kisame when Kisame readied to attack with the Samehada. Kakashi easily dodged the horizontal swing while landing on top the sword and jumping over the blue shark man, reading the Chidori for an O, but Kisame knew what was about to happen as he quickly turned and used a simple water jutsu to hit Kakashi back and break his concentration. Kakashi landed on his feet watching Kisame as he readied his Samehada again. "Haven't we already tried this before?" Kakashi said simply as Kisame smirked lightly. "I haven't tried this before," he whispers as he begins to charge at Kakashi, jumping up in the air above him. Kisame quickly began to do some hand signs in the air as he sailed over Kakashi. After landing on the top of a building, he finished the last hand sign. Water release, exploding water shockwave. He yells as water begins to appear on the ground and begins to form a lake in the Little East District. Kakashi quickly jumps up onto the top of a building as Kisame had done before, but as he was landing, Kisame came out of nowhere and his Samehada Kakashi's back, making him fly the water as Kisame quickly began to do more hand signs. Water release, 5 eating sharks. As he yelled this, 5 large sharks appeared out of nowhere and began to circle Kakashi, latching onto his arms and legs before he could surface for air. Naruto slowly circled Itachi, watching the Uchiha closely, not knowing when he might attack. "You know, Naruto-kun, you should have just come along quietly back when you were younger," Itachi whispered and just stared ahead, not needing to watch the blonde. "Yeah, right, like that would have been a good choice. If I hadn't have been saved by Jiraiya-sensei, I probably would have like Gaara did all those years ago," Naruto said simply as he began to build up his chakra. "That won't help you any, Naruto-kun. Why do you resist me?" Itachi said as he looked to Naruto, the Sharingan blazing in his eyes, trying to give Naruto a threatening look, only to fail as the blonde laughed triumphantly. "You don't know what I'm capable of, Itachi, so I wouldn't get your hopes up if I were you," Naruto says simply before charging in at the Uchiha, who thought he had evaded the attack only to be proven wrong when a kunai the back of his cloak. Itachi growled lightly and pulled the kunai out and dropped it to the ground, slightly happy that it didn't hit anything. "You've gotten better, Naruto-kun, I'll admit that," Itachi said before charging in at the blonde, ready to strike with his concealed sword as Naruto pulled out 2 kunais and ran at Itachi, ready to go to hand-to-hand combat. As the two came closer, they finally met, 1 katana against 2 kunai. The sparks flew and the chakra poured out of them as they readied themselves for the final fight. "You know, Deidara, I understand now why my sensei never took you up on your offer," Toma said simply as he watched the Akatsuki lay on the ground, half of his clay already gone from making a futile attack on Sakura and Hinata. Hinata shifted herself and readied for any moves that the man laying on the ground might make. "You think you won?" Deidara laughed lightly as he closed his eyes. "It's only just begun." He laughs as explosions are heard in the distance. A bright flash blinds them, and when it dissipates, Deidara is no longer lying on the ground in front of the three. Hinata quickly looks around and points to the roof of a nearby building. "There," she shouts, and the other two look up, seeing Deidara standing next to yet another man in the black cloaks. This one, however, has half of his face covered in a weird orange and black swirl, with the other half covered with black clothes. Sakura stares up at the new opponent, examining him closely, but Hinata speaks before she can. Toby. Hinata whispers and the new man smirks on the inside, happy that someone knew who he was now. You shouldn't gang up on Deidara-senpai like that, it makes people angry such as myself. Toby says playfully, as if he were trying to pick a fight with Toma and the others. Well, now that our reinforcements have arrived, we can get this party started. Deidara smirks as he cracks his fingers and smirks down at the three Konoha ninjas. Sorry Kakashi, I have to get to that tower. Kisame says as he flies over Kakashi, who just so happened to just beat the sharks away. Kisame keeps going towards Hokage Tower but is hit in the back with a powerful water dragon jutsu that s him the ground. The water begins to disappear as Kakashi begins to approach Kisame. I can't let you go to the tower. Kakashi says simply and gets closer and closer to Kisame, who rolls over and looks up at Kakashi. Well Kakashi, you don't have a choice. Kisame smirks as Kakashi is hit in the side, sending him flying a wall. Kakashi stumbles out of the rubble and looks to who assaulted him to find another Akatsuki member, the right half of him black and the left half white. A giant Venus flytrap encasing him and protecting him from harm. Hello Kakashi. The new man whispers as the flytrap snaps shut then open again. About time Zetsu. Kisame gets to his feet and brushes himself off. I was starting to wonder when you would actually show up. I mean, ever since Itachi said to split up, I had a bad feeling. So you're all showing up here. Kakashi says as he examines Zetsu. That should be what the plan is, but something's off. Zetsu says simply. You Konoha ninja are getting in the way. Well, isn't that our job as yours is to collect the Jinchuriki and rule the world? Kakashi says as he watches Zetsu and Kisame closely as the two smirk. No wonder why we hate you other shinobi. Zetsu says and looks Kakashi over as Kisame cracks his en and knuckles. Well, let's get this over with. Kisame laughs lightly and readies his samehada. This ends here. Itachi. Naruto yells and charges at the young Akatsuki member, who is now down on his knees. Naruto quickly goes to Itachi's end, but he disappears and reappears 20 feet away. A very tall man in an Akatsuki cloak stands next to him. Itachi, you shouldn't let the enemy get so close. The man says. His unruly spiky auburn hair and dragon-like red eyes stare at Naruto, examining him closely as Itachi gets to his feet and brushes himself off. You shouldn't have come. Itachi says simply, but the man doesn't answer to this. Who are you? Naruto asks impatiently. You interfered with some important matters. Naruto says as he shifts his ready position as the man takes a step forward. Don't talk to our leader like that. Itachi says simply, and Naruto raises an eyebrow. Leader? Naruto asks out of confusion. Yes, I am the leader of the Akatsuki. The new man smirks as the red clouds cover up the moon, see off all the light. My name is Pain. Well, it would be best if you were to come with us, Naruto. Pain said simply, but Naruto didn't answer as he stood still watching him closely. Speechless, aren't we? I've come to finish things so I may finish this world. I'm not going to let that happen. Naruto growls lightly and looks over to Itachi, who just stands there with his eyes closed. There may be two of you, but that won't stop me. We'll see about that, Pain says as he charges in at Naruto with Itachi close behind him ready to strike. Itachi smirks as he watches Naruto prepare himself as Pain attacks him from the right and Itachi follows suit and attacks from the left. Naruto says simply as Pain and Itachi begin to approach him yet again. Hinata hurried through the streets looking for Naruto. Sakura and Toma said that they had the two Akatsuki members under control while she found Naruto. She was worried about him. If the Akatsuki were here, that meant that they were here to take them away, and she wouldn't allow that. She sped through the town, noticing the orange chakra from Naruto close by with two others. One she recognized as Uchiha, but the other one was different. It was new. I'm coming, Naruto-kun, I'm not letting them take you away. She says and speeds up. You know you shouldn't have sent your little friend away. Deidara said as his clay birds circled around him. He smirked at Sakura and then at Toma. She probably could have helped you beat us. We don't need Hinata to beat you bozos. Sakura says as she cracks her knuckles. I like how you think. Confidence is overrated though. Toby says as he just stands there watching the two closely. Deidara-senpai, do you want the Jinchuriki or the medic? He asks as he looks over the two waiting for an answer. I'll take the demon, I have a bone to pick with him about some family matters. Deodara says as he charges in at Toma, the clay birds at his side. Toma jumps back as the birds try to dart at him. As Toma is dodging the small explosives, Toby is charging in at Sakura with 2 kunai ready. She quickly dodges the 2 knives and then clings 2 of her own kunai against them. That won't work against me, she says as she shoves Toby back and charges in at him ready to throw a punch at his face. Toby quickly dodges the punch and swipes his foot beneath her, but she avoids it and jumps back, throwing her kunai in the process and making Toby stumble back from the kunai that is now sticking out of his leg. You know, if Dasara-sensei were here you'd have no chance against her, Toma says as he throws 3 kunai at Deodara, but Deodara dodges them. Boy, you should learn how to keep your mouth shut, Deodara growls as he forms 6 more birds and they zoom at Toma ready to strike, but he easily dodges them yet again. Toma dodges as well as Sakura as they get ready to attack the 2 Akatsuki. Toma quickly charges at Deodara alongside Sakura with kunai in their hands. Deodara watches and sends bombs at both of them, not knowing what to do, but when the bombs miss he quickly begins to jump backwards, but Toma catches up and grabs him by the collar and smirks. Ready, he says as he ducks and Sakura her fist eye Deodara's face, sending him flying a nearby building and earning a gasp from Toby. How dare you do that to Deodara-senpai? Toby yells and yanks the kunai out of his leg as he charged at the 2 Konoha shinobi ready to K. Naruto slowly backs away as he begins to analyze what's going on with how quick Pain and Itachi just happen to be. He frowns when he notices that Itachi isn't performing to 100% and that Pain most likely isn't either. He quickly charged in at the 2 Akatsuki before him ready to strike as they dodge him, and Pain goes to him in the back, but Naruto does a substitution jutsu and appears behind Itachi, planting a foot to his C and sending him back Pain and sending them the ground. You shouldn't underestimate me, Naruto says as the 2 get to their feet. As you shouldn't underestimate us, a voice says behind Naruto. He quickly turns to the voice and finds a woman with blue hair and a paper flower in her hair. You should make sure you know where the second partner is. You're late, Conan, Pain says as he brushes himself off and looks to Itachi. You never mentioned he was fast. He wasn't fast, he just caught us off guard, Itachi says simply before shifting his attention back to Naruto, who was getting to his feet after falling. How the hell paper? Naruto says as he examines the sword in the woman's, Conan's, hand. And you guys actually let a woman join, wow, Naruto said as he watched Pain stand next to Conan. Now, there are many things you don't understand about us Uzumaki. Like why we want all the demons, Pain says and watches Naruto closely. Or why we travel only in pairs instead of a whole group, Itachi says from Naruto's left. Or why we've come to finish this inside your borders, Conan says and smirks as her paper turns a long rapier. But it doesn't matter now, for you are as good as S, Pain says as the 3 Akatsuki begin to circle Naruto. I'm not S until I'm lying L on the ground, Naruto growls. And I'm not going to be dying anytime soon, he says as the Akatsuki charge in at him and he dodges their fists and kunais and swords. Hinata-chan, he yells happily, he was no longer worried about her being outnumbered somewhere else. I thought you might need a hand, Naruto-kun. She smiles and jumps down beside him. Pain, Conan, and Itachi all watched closely as the Hyuga stood beside Naruto ready to fight. And now it gets interesting. Pain smirks as he readies to attack. Kakashi groaned as he collapsed to his knees, unable to use his Sharingan anymore due to the lack of chakra. Kisame kicked him to the side as he approached the Hokage Tower once more. He quickly disposed of the weak Chunin that blocked his way, as he had done to Iruka and the few Jonin that had tried to help Kakashi. Kisame had one opponent in mind, Tsunade. The woman interested him since her power was unrivaled, and it also helped that he knew Jiraiya would be there also. He had a score to settle with that Sannin from a very long time ago. The sun was just beginning to rise as Kisame stopped in front of the doors to the Hokage Tower, only to have them fly open in his face to reveal Jiraiya. Jiraiya's face was grim and he looked very upset. Kisame smirked at this and began to wonder why. Was it because his student's most precious student was lying on the ground? Kisame. Was it that the Akatsuki had come to take his student away? Who cared? A battle was a battle, and Kisame was looking forward to this one. Jiraiya. Kisame smirked as the old pervy sage just stared at him angrily. This stops here, Jiraiya says dryly as he readies himself for one of the most important battles of his life. You know Deidara-senpai, this is very fun when you think about it. Toby says as he dodges one of Sakura's punches, then grabs her wrist and lifts her off the ground. She goes to kick him, but he blocks the kick with his other arm. You think that's going to stop me? Toby smirks as he throws Sakura back and charges in at her, kicking her before she lands on the ground and quickly does it again, only to be SIA building by Toma. Toma quickly turns back to Deidara and blocks the explosives that are flying at him. They explode, making the sand smoke up and cloud their view. When the smoke clears, Toma stands there with a black aura around him, his eyes like a dragon's, dark and angry. So the demon shows itself. Deidara smirks and readies more bombs as Toby charges in at Toma from behind with something in his hand that is both similar to the Rasengan and Chidori. He goes to hit Toma with it, and then without even looking, Toma his fist back Toby's gut before he can get the attack against Toma's body. The attack disappears and Toby stumbles back. Who wants to first? Toma growls as Sakura gets to her feet and watches them all closely, not knowing what to do about the situation. Toby smirks and steps forward. I'll accept your challenge, Toby says confidently as he gets ready to reveal what he can do. Naruto slowly looked from Itachi, to Konan, and then to Pain, unsure of what they might do. Hinata did the same, but she examined their chakra, trying to find which was the strongest. She looked to Pain and knew that he would be hard due to his large amount of chakra, and she knew that Itachi would be hard as she had seen people fight him before, but the woman, Konan, was different. She couldn't read her chakra and had no clue as to what chakra she had. The woman must have had some way to conceal it or something, which puzzled Hinata. The Hyuga can see anything except things in their one blind spot. Why was this any different than before? Now young Hyuga, you needn't look us over to analyze the situation, we have a plan already. Pain said and smirked as he and Konan disappeared. Itachi charged in at them and she quickly shifted IA fighting stance, as did Naruto. Itachi quickly threw a kunai at Hinata and she deflected it with ease, and then it got blurry. Her vision was wavering and she felt dizzy. She quickly looked around, which made her head spin, and she fell, hearing Naruto scream her name as her world went black. Toma quickly rendered Deidara useless as the other Akatsuki charged at him. Toby had been much faster than he had been before, so Toma kept his guard up. He quickly evaded the attack to the side, then he felt something burning on his C to find Toby's hand against his C, searing the clothes and the flesh. Toma quickly kicked Toby back and landed on his feet, holding the burn on his C. If it got worse, Sakura could heal him, but he couldn't take the risk of leaving Toby to do as he pleased as he charged in at the orange man. You're less here, by my hand, Toma growled as he quickly called up his Jinchuriki's power. A black flame now was in his hand, ready to strike with. I won't not like the rest of my clan, Toby said as he dodged the flame and shoved a Chidori I Toma's C. It baffled Toma. Only Kakashi and Sasuke had been able to perform the Chidori. How did Toby know how to use it? Could he be like Kakashi, a Sharingan wielder? Jiraiya watched Kisame as he began to move around, ready for anything. Jiraiya didn't take his eyes off him for 1 second as he summoned a large toad with armor on. He kept his eyes on Kisame as he began to speak to the toad. Make sure no one gets inside, Jiraiya said as the toad blocked the door, and Jiraiya took a step towards Kisame. Let's get this over with, I have a date with your Hokage. Kisame growls lightly and Jiraiya laughs lightly. She won't even date me, so you don't have a chance with her, Jiraiya said as he disappeared, and so did Kisame. She watched from the window. Shizune insisted that she stay away from it, but she couldn't. Soon had looked over the town and how destroyed it was. She knew they were all out there fighting and it scared her. The people in danger, her top shinobi in danger, Jiraiya was in danger, and Naruto. She didn't want the same thing to happen to either of them, like what happened to Dan and her brother. She watches as she saw the white hair and blue skin flash by and clash kunai. She remembered what he had said to her before he walked out. I'll come back, I won't leave you alone, she whispers, and she grips the front of her shirt and looks up to the monuments. She looks from the first Hokage to the second, then she looks to the third. After a long moment she looks to the fourth, then to her face that was made up there in stone. Naruto is to be next, she says, and Shizune nods in compliance, knowing that silence was the best medicine for her sensei. Naruto had summoned 6 clones who had moved Hinata to safety. He didn't know what they did to her, but the moment pain touched her he did something or she wouldn't have collapsed. He clenched his fists as he was surrounded by the three Akatsuki. As they began to charge at him, Itachi stopped, a shadow attaching him to a nearby building as Shikamaru stepped out of the shadows. Conan stopped and began to back away. Chuji stepped out from a building, hiding Ino inside. I have a few questions for you. Naruto growls lightly and Pain only stands still, not saying anything. All right, Pain says, tightly thinking about his situation. What did you do to Hinata-chan? He asks and Pain only smirks. That's easy. A special medical jutsu used to knock out people for surgeries. Pain says and Naruto continues. Why are you here in Konoha? To get you and the other demon, of course. Pain says and watches as Neji and Lee step out from behind the buildings and surround him also. That can't be the reason. If that was the reason, you could have snuck and got us undetected without having to have all your members here, but you decided to charge in head first with all your men here. What's your true reason for being here? Naruto demanded and Pain only laughed. Toma jumped back with Sakura behind him. He was right, Toby was a Sharingan user and he had no idea as of how to handle the situation. Toma groaned as he touched his sea gently. The burn had gotten worse and he had no clue what to do. Sakura was almost out of chakra. Deidara was hiding behind Toby, replenishing himself and messing with his clay, and Toby was starting to walk towards them. That quickly caught Toma's attention as he watched the Akatsuki walk towards them, yet another Chidori in his hand. Stay back. Toma whispers to Sakura as he charges forward, quickly doing some hand signs that Toby didn't recognize. Dark style, dark dragon jutsu. He yells as a giant black dragon forms behind him and flies at Toby. Toby quickly analyzes the situation and tries to dodge, only to have his side burned from the dragon. Toby quickly counters with one of his jutsu. Earth style, ground-breaking jutsu. He yelled as the ground beneath Toma began to shatter. Toma quickly began to jump away, only to have a Chidori SI his back and send him flying either shifting rocks. Toma. Sakura yells and looks up at Toby, her eyes filled with fury as she readies to attack him while his back is to her. She's just about to lunge at him when a beam of black fire shoots out and SI Toby's upper right shoulder and sends him flying back either ground as Toma jumps out of the hole. He falls to the ground and Sakura rushes to him, ready to heal him at any moment. Sakura, behind you. He yells and she quickly turns to find Omari behind her, holding Toby by the wrists. Toby's kunai fall to the ground. I thought she taught you to watch your back. Omari groans as he throws Toby back either ground. Omari. Toma shouts happily at the large man, turns to Toma and smiles. It'd be best to start healing him. Omari says and Sakura nods as she quickly begins to perform the medical jutsu on Toma. A shadow blocks his view of the sun and Toma slowly looks up to find Dasara standing there with her hands on her hips. Dasara-sensei, he says and she smiles warmly down at him. I can tell you've been busy while I was gone. She says and looks to Deidara, who's now on his feet and looking to the large group of shinobi. She wasn't supposed to be back yet. Deidara growls lightly in frustration and Dasara keeps her eyes locked on his. You should speak up, Deidara. She says and he growls lightly at her, his eyes dark with anger. So now I get to fight you. Deidara says and Dasara turns to face him smirking. It won't be much of a match. She says and activates the Harugan. Jiraiya quickly dodged the futile attack aimed at his waist. Kisame may have a chakra-sucking sword, but in Jiraiya's opinion he was very slow. The Sannin easily dodged the swings aimed for him as if they were nothing at all. He quickly dodged the water dragon earlier and he kept preventing Kisame from calling his water. Close Sannin, but not close enough. Kisame said as he quickly swung the sword at Jiraiya. Jiraiya landed on a nearby building holding his new wound as he smirked. You know, Kisame, you should pay more attention. Jiraiya says as 10 sharp objects SI Kisame's back. He turns around to find Kiba, Shino, and Akamaru standing there. I have allies, you know. Jiraiya said as Akamaru latched onto the sword and ripped it out of Kisame's hands and throwing it far away as Kiba held up 2 kunais and bugs began to surround Shino. Damn Konoha ninja. Kisame mutters. What is your true intention for being here? Naruto yells and Pain finally stops laughing. Everyone's eyes focus on Pain and watch as he slowly opens his eyes. We had many reasons to come. 2 of them were to get the remaining demons. The third, however, was to get rid of a certain someone who happened to be in our way. Pain says and focuses his eyes on Naruto. We were going to destroy anyone in our way which would help immensely in our final cause. Which would be? Neji asks angrily. He had seen Hinata and what the Akatsuki had done to the rest of the village and he wasn't too thrilled. None of your concern. Conan says simply. She had been tied to a tree with chakra ropes keeping her chakra sealed up inside as Chuji and Ino stood beside her watching her closely. Do you want to s? Naruto growls to her without removing his eyes from pain. We won't s. Itachi says and stays completely still as does Shikamaru who's still behind him with the jutsu still activated. What's the plan? Naruto demands and Pain begins to speak up this time. To leave your village Hokage less. Pain says simply and the Konoha ninja all look to him the gaze leaving Conan. Conan disperses thousands of pieces of paper. Ino and Chuji quickly look to the ropes then the sky as thousands of paper butterflies begin to fly away. And so it begins. Pain smirks. Naruto watched as the paper butterflies scattered and began to fly down at them. Naruto quickly dodges one but another his cheek leaving B rolling down it. He frowns and looks down at Pain. More little tricks of yours I see. Naruto growls lightly as Ino and Chuji begin to try to catch the butterflies. Neji quickly uses the heavenly spin to deflect some and then tries to block the butterflies from getting to Shikamaru who now has Itachi and his shadow jutsu again. The more tricks we use the closer we get to victory. Pain says and opens his eyes slowly. And Konoha is now doomed, he laughs lightly as the butterflies zoom around him. Dasara slowly approached her brother ready to K him. Deidara keeps some clay in his hands trying to avoid eye contact with his sister. Deidara slowly prepares the clay in his hands trying not to draw Dasara's attention only to fail. Dasara appeared behind him in a moment and leg his back sending him flying IA building. Toby charges in at Dasara but she easily dodges him and sends him flying the other building across the street. You have no chance against me, Dasara says and looks from Deidara to Toby. Omari starts towards Toby, a kunai in his hand. Toby begins to rise to his feet but Omari fist his face sending him even deeper the building. Deidara gets up and throws the clay towards Dasara who dodges it easily. The clay explodes behind her sending huge ground chunks flying. Missed. She states simply. You know you should try to improve your aim. Toma says as he walks up next to Dasara and Sakura walks up next to him. Damn Konoha shinobi. Why the hell do you have to interfere? Deidara yells and gets to his feet slowly not knowing what to do. Kisame was pissed, he disliked how he fell for Jiraiya's plan and now he was greatly outnumbered. Not only did Kakashi and Shino have Zetsu busy but not Kisame had to deal with the damn dog and his mutt. He growled lightly at the thought of this as he slowly looked over both Kiba and Akamaru who were now standing next to the injured Jiraiya. Now to deal with you, Jiraiya said as he rolled up his sleeves acting as if his side didn't bother him one bit. For trying to capture a fellow ninja, K many of our ninja, and trying to K the Hokage, your sentence is death. You think you're the almighty judge. You can't possibly K me with a dog, a boy, and an injured old man. Kisame laughs and looks to where his Samehada lays on the ground, a good 20 feet away. Akamaru notices this and barks loudly at Kisame drawing Kisame's gaze back to the large white dog. You won't be getting that sword anytime soon. Kiba says and cracks his knuckles. I'll make sure of that. Well let's see you try, Kisame says before quickly heading for the sword. A kunai zooms by in front of him making him come to a halt when Kiba jumps in front of him and Akamaru jumps behind him. You think you're so smart. Well you're wrong. Kisame says and quickly rushes towards Kiba who easily dodges the fist aimed at his C and grabs Kisame's arm tight flinging him back towards Akamaru. Now Akamaru. Kiba yells out and the dog barks in response. Akamaru quickly charges in at the flying Kisame and latches his teeth onto Kisame's arm locking his jaws around the blue man. Kisame yowls in pain as he tries to pull the massive teeth off but has no luck so he reaches for a kunai with his good hand but Jiraiya grabs his arm. Now you won't be doing that. Jiraiya says simply and squeezes Kisame's wrist tight making him drop his new weapon. Zetsu kept moving around and even with Shino's bugs they had a hard time keeping up with their enemy. Kakashi had summoned a few tracking dogs to help out but Zetsu had been cloaking himself so well that the dogs weren't even able to find him either. Zetsu had run off towards the training fields luring the two Konoha shinobi further and further away from the target and now they were in the forest of death. Zetsu quickly hid when they reached the forest and Kakashi and Shino slowly entered. Shino had his bugs spread out as Kakashi had his dogs spread out to look for Zetsu. Kakashi slowly began to walk further out the forest with Shino only a few steps behind him ready for anything when a hand comes out of a nearby tree and yanks Shino back against the tree. 6 hands come out of the tree with kunai and get ready to Shino when he does a quick substitution jutsu and appears next to Kakashi. He's using the trees, Shino says quietly, and Kakashi slowly looks to him. AS is on his coat from the first hand. He lured us IA trap. Kakashi says and looks around slowly trying to find anything different. Now the problem is how to spring it without getting ourselves K. Well, one way is to stay away from the trees, Shino says as he looks to Kakashi, who nods and begins to run through some hand signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Kakashi yells and a large fireball comes out of his mouth and hits a tree, catching it on fire instantly, and then the fire begins to spread to more trees. That should flush him out, Kakashi says and looks around to see if Zetsu left his hiding spot but finds nothing. Where is he? Shino says and has his bugs check out around them only to find nothing. Could he have escaped? He could have, but why leave his prey here while breakfast is soon? Kakashi says and slowly turns around waiting for his dogs to return. Breakfast. Venus flytraps can't wait too long for a meal and it's almost chow time. The dish for this morning is Kakashi and Shino steak. Kakashi says and looks to Shino. He'll definitely want a meal soon. Pain smirked as the butterflies began to everyone up except for him and Itachi. Itachi slowly looked to Pain, knowing the time to act would be soon and the mission would be completed. Pain nodded slowly and Itachi activated his Sharingan. The butterflies zoomed closer to Itachi and within seconds the cover over his eyes fell to the ground, allowing him to use the Mangekyo Sharingan on whoever was close by, who happened to be Naruto. Itachi smirked as Pain did a hand sign behind his back and a clone appeared behind Shikamaru. Shikamaru, look out! Ino yelled as she noticed the clone. Shikamaru tried to dodge, releasing his jutsu on Itachi, but Shikamaru was sent flying IA building's window, shattering the glass everywhere. Itachi slowly rose to his feet, looking at all of them, wondering who would be his first target when he noticed Naruto charging in at him. Chuji was now guarding Pain, and that was not something good. You're no match for me, Uzumaki. Itachi says simply, and before Naruto could dodge over, avert his gaze from the Uchihas, he was stuck in the Sharingan's realm. He was alone. He knew that he was trapped inside the jutsu when everything turned to black and white and he saw Hinata standing in front of him. He didn't know what he was to do. Kakashi-sensei warned him about this jutsu before and the effects, but he had never known that it would use Hinata against him. Before he could think much more, he was walking towards Hinata, not of his own will. His feet kept moving towards her, then he felt his arm begin to raise. He thought for a moment that he was reaching out to her, but then he noticed the kunai in his hand. No! He screamed to himself, which set off a trigger, and he began to run at her. She slowly turned to him, her eyes looking right at him. Your body is mine now, Uzumaki, you no longer have room in this shell. The voice said. It was deep and rough. Naruto recognized the voice immediately, but he could not bring himself to say the name for a few moments. Kyubi, you did this. How dare you? Naruto yelled in his head and the voice only laughed. You locked me away, so I have taken the one thing precious to you in return. The fox said angrily. This is what you get for locking me in that cage for the past year. He says, and then 2 large red eyes appear in front of Naruto, floating above Hinata's lifeless body. And now, you will relive her death over and over for all of eternity. The fox laughs as Naruto's vision blurs and the dream begins to start yet again. He watched from the top of the trees, waiting for his prey to get to the right spot. Yes, Zetsu was ready for breakfast and he was going to enjoy this meal. Of course, he didn't think Shino would be much of a meal, but Kakashi the copycat ninja was something else. Oh, the screams would be so wonderful. But of course those 2 wouldn't fill him up, so he decided that he would eat the Hokage also. Kisame should have been clearing the way, and when he was done with these 2 he would devour the blonde medic. He finally spotted one of Shino's bugs coming towards the tree he was hiding in, which meant they were almost to where he wanted them. When he spotted Kakashi, he instantly got a rush of excitement and began to move down towards his silver-haired snack. Shino had a bad feeling about going deeper in the woods. Sure, they could handle Zetsu, but not on his own turf. Before Shino could think about anything else, giant vines flew out at him from the bushes and wrapped around his body, arms, and legs. He ordered his bugs to dissolve the vines, but it failed due to the parasitic Venus flytraps that were all over the vines what kept eating the bugs. Kakashi noticed that Shino had stopped walking moments later and quickly turned to find a giant cocoon of vines with flytraps aligned all along the outside. Kakashi went to rush to help him, but a big set of vines block his way and Kakashi skids to a stop. The vines then begin to form the shape of a human-like figure. What the? Kakashi starts, but he stops immediately when he hears Zetsu speak behind him. Hello Kakashi. Are you ready to have breakfast? Zetsu smirks and snaps, getting more vine men to form around Kakashi, surrounding him and blocking off his exits. Deidara quickly sailed over the buildings trying to get as far away from his sister as possible. He had run out of clay only 5 minutes either battle and now she was kicking his A. Sure, he left Toby behind, but last he knew Toby was doing pretty good. He got a few hits in on Omari and was doing well against the paired team of Omari and Toma. Of course now Deidara had to now deal with Desara and that damn pink-haired medic. To make matters worse was that damn little girl packed quite a punch. It scared the S out of him. He quickened his pace for he could hear Desara not far behind him and he needed to get further away. He groaned when he noticed he was running low on chakra already and he hadn't even completed his goal. Come back here. Sakura yells after Deidara, who ignores her and continues to speed up knowing that he would be done soon. Sakura got angry at this and was about to speed up until Desara came to a halt on the roof on a building. Sakura immediately came to a halt next to her, not knowing what she was doing. Desara-san. Sakura looked her over, but then as Desara bit her thumb, Sakura knew what she was doing. Summoning jutsu. Desara yelled out moments later and a giant phoenix appeared. The phoenix soared after Deidara and even though it was nowhere close to him he could feel the heat. He groaned as the phoenix closed in on him, the flames scorching his hair and skin. Before the phoenix could encase him in flames, a giant water dragon hit it out of the way, causing the phoenix to disappear. Toby stood on a building not that far away and Omari and Toma ran up next to Desara and Sakura. He's a fast little bastard. Omari groans as he tries to catch his breath. But he's weird, he uses moves I've never seen before. Toma says and watches as Toby helps Deidara. It's like he has a Sharingan. He probably does, the mask cover it, or maybe he's using a disguised jutsu to hide his real face. Sakura says simply, like he used Chidori, only Kakashi-sensei and Sasuke knew how to use it. He must have copied the flow of energy and speed. That's true. So we're fighting one of the last Uchiha and a dumb artist. Desara sighs and shrugs. Deidara hears this and gets pissed immediately. Art is not dumb. Deidara yells and gets ready to lunge forward at Desara, but Toby holds him back. I never said it was, I said you were. Desara says through slitted eyes, he was pissing her off and he was gonna S for it. Pain watched as Naruto collapsed to the ground and how Itachi quickly used a water dragon jutsu to knock Ino and Chuji out of the picture without harming any of Conan's butterflies. As Itachi began to approach Pain, Conan reformed behind Pain and undid the chakra ropes holding him. Pain got to his feet and looked to Itachi. Stay here and deal with these imbeciles, he says before running off with Conan close behind. Itachi merely stood in silence, being very angry down inside but not caring. An order was an order. Itachi slowly turned to look at Team 10 with his Sharingan ready for the little fun he was to have. He didn't understand how the hell he broke free. He was in Akamaru's jaws one moment and before Kiba could even blink, Kisame stood on the roof across from them smirking. Maybe it was a water clone, or maybe he did a substitution jutsu, but how? His hands were too far apart from one another to make any hand signs. You look confused, Runt, Kisame said, and Kiba quickly snapped back to reality. No, I'm just more interested now, Kiba says, trying to fool Kisame, thinking that he knew what was going on this whole time. You know, you're not bad for a Konoha ninja, Kisame says and glances towards his Samehada. But now that I have a goal, I have to complete it fully. Then I can play with you some more. You think I'm playing? Kiba laughs lightly. I'm just warming up, you haven't seen my full potential. And he won't. A voice comes from behind Kisame. Kisame smirks, knowing who was behind him and what his job was now. Now you're screwed, Jiraiya, Kisame says, and the Sannin looks at him trying to figure out what's going on but stops when he notices Pain behind Kisame with Conan. Kiba, get back, Jiraiya orders. The Inuzuka hesitates a moment and jumps back next to Jiraiya with Akamaru. Such a wise decision, Pain says as he steps up beside Kisame with Conan a step behind him. Kisame, you know your new job, correct? Pain says and keeps his eyes locked on Jiraiya. Of course, I hope you have fun with your target. Kisame says and laughs when his Samehada floats up in front of him, paper butterflies carrying it. Thank you, Conan, he says before the woman nods in compliance. Kiba quickly looks the three over, not knowing what to say about it. Jiraiya readies himself as Pain and Conan fly past him heading for the Hokage Tower. Oh no, you! Jiraiya starts to run after them, but Kisame blocks his path. Sorry old man, you're still my opponent. Kisame says and lifts his Samehada. And neither of you are getting by me. Pain slowly walks down the halls towards Tsunade's office ready to fight her. Conan stays quiet as she follows, she knew her job well. He threw the doors to the office open and before he could look around Shizune popped out of hiding and threw 10 kunai directly at them. The kunai fell seconds later by being deflected by paper. Conan takes a step forward and looks to Shizune. So you are my opponent, she says simply, and Shizune looks her over slowly, not knowing what to do. Conan starts towards Shizune with 2 paper swords in her hands ready to attack. Shizune quickly throws 4 kunai at Conan, but she deflects them and laughs lightly. What the hell are you doing? A voice roars from the balcony. Tsunade stands there looking at her guests. Pain smirks and bows slightly. Hokage, I am here to KO you. Pain says and straightens up with staring at Tsunade. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I won't be dying anytime soon. Tsunade says and cracks her en and knuckles. She smiles slightly as she looked him over. But I believe the roof would be a better dance area, she says before jumping up. Pain quickly follows and ignores Shizune's nose and pleads as Conan blocks Shizune's path to the balcony. You will stay here and fight me, Conan says and prepares her swords for combat as Shizune prepares herself also. It was cold, he couldn't handle this anymore. He had watched her over and over again, but he couldn't believe it. So why was he still trapped in this dimension? He couldn't be trapped here all eternity. Kakashi was only trapped there for 3 days and he lived. Of course he had his Sharingan to help ease the death sentence. What do I do? If my spirit breaks, I'm screwed. If I don't get out of here soon, everyone will and I can't let that happen, he says to himself as his body begins to approach Hinata yet again. The Kyuubi wouldn't really leave me trapped in here, would he? He asks himself but gets no answer. She had finally woke up, but she had no clue where she was. The walls were cracked and there was rubble everywhere. She slowly looked around but stopped when she remembered what was going on. They knocked her out and Naruto-kun was fighting on his own. She quickly jumped to her feet and rushed out to find Naruto limp and unconscious on the ground. She quietly snuck around them, trying to get behind Itachi without attracting anyone's attention. Within moments she charged in at Itachi. He slowly turned thinking he heard something and had a hand planted in his Hinata standing there with her Byakugan activated. Itachi groans and coughs up B. He stumbles back before quickly fleeing. Shikamaru and Chuji look to Hinata and nod as they take off after Itachi, leaving Hinata alone with the others. Ino, Hinata whispered and hurried to her friend's side. She quickly began to heal her so she might regain consciousness soon. Then she moved on to Neji and pulled him out of the rubble and healed him also. Finally she hurried over to Naruto. He had no physical injuries but he was pale. We don't know what Itachi did to him, Ino said quietly and slowly sat up with a hand on her stomach. He used those eyes of his, Hinata whispers and checks Naruto's pulse that was beating a little slower than usual. As long as he doesn't give up, he should wake up from it. Hinata, are you okay? Ino whispers and gets to her feet. I mean, you were out cold when we got here. I'm fine, all they did was use a medical jutsu to knock me out cold, she says and turns to Ino. Shikamaru and Chuji ran after Itachi. If you could help them. Of course, I mean I can't let my team have all the fun without me. Ino smiles and runs off after Shikamaru and Chuji. Hinata slowly looks down at Naruto, hoping he was doing all right. Naruto-kun, please wake up, she whispers and places a hand on his. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.